Hello folks, and welcome back. It seems an age since I last put a video up from this allotment, and it has been, to be honest. As you know, I was incapacitated for a little bit, and then I've been away on holiday, so now it's time to get cracking. Most of it is tidying up. There's still plenty of cabbages to harvest, and I've got one or two collies. And this bed here in particular, I've got some veg I want to plant out, a few cabbage and collies, and just to tick over for the winter. So let's get cracking. This is the lone cauliflower that's left, and just caught it, just about starting to go over now, so I'll be picking that, ready for the pot. I'll just spin you around. And you can see there's quite a few Savoy type cabbages, and also the ball head as well. So I'm going to be picking these as we require them, rather than picking them and storing them. I'll see how long they last, depends on if the weather changes as well. Believe it or not, this is a kohlrabi. In fact, I put 5 kohlrabi in, 3 green and 2 red, and I didn't harvest any. As you can see, this has gone a monster. In fact, this has thrown a little pup off the side, so it's all gone rotten on the inside, so I'm just going to put these in the council bin to dump. I've given this bed a weeding now, nothing special. I've just used the wolf push-pull out, and it's got most of the stuff out. So that's ready for planting now, and this is what's going to be going in. There's 6 cauliflower here, those are called Snow Queen. And there's 8 plants here of cabbage. These are Durham early. All this was kindly donated to me by my mate Nick from Nick's Allotment. So I'm going to get these planted right away. So that's how it's planted now. Don't know how well it'll show through the net. Got the 6 cauliflower in. I've still got 1 cabbage to put in, but I decided to leave the cauliflower on the end there until I'm ready to pick on Sunday. Then I'll pop the other one in. The cauliflowers look a bit sad for themselves, but that's my fault. Perfectly good when I had them, but I'd let them dry out in the bag. But I'm sure they'll soon pick up now. I've given them a good puddling in, so that's it. Another job that I always preach, but haven't actually practiced as usual, is to stake the sprouts. So usually I do get these stakes in quite early, but this year for some reason not done. So I've actually started here. You can see the protective bottles on top of the metal poles. I got 5 done, and I'll get the other 2 lots of 5, and I can get the net back on. Now that the gladioli have finished flowering, what I like to do is just chop them down about 25 centimetres high, leave them for a while, and then I'll take the bulbs out during the dry spell to dry them out. We've just had a sudden burst rain. It's done the soil pretty good. Now this bed here is where I grew my garlic last year, and I'm going to be using it again. But the first job is to give it a weeding. The garlic crop this year has been mediocre. Nothing to write home about, but at least I got something. I see on YouTube quite a few people lost the crop altogether. The stuff that I did harvest I put into the greenhouse down the bottom, and with the extreme heat we had, it actually shriveled up and I lost a lot. Now my favourite crop of garlic is called Marco. I've grown different varieties over the year, but that tends to give me the best returns, and there's not that many people sell it. But fortunately, again, my mate Nick from Nick's Allotment come to the rescue, and he provided me with some more clothes so I can keep the stock going. In the interim, while I got nothing, I did send away for some, and this one is called Lamage, I think. I'll put the actual name on the screen, but that's the sort of bulb we can get. So I'll be splitting that and the instructions was to plant them a foot apart. Well, usually with garlic I plant mine about 6 inches, 15 centimetres. So, but first of all we've got to get this bed weeded, which is a bit wet still, so I might have to wait for the sun to come out. These are the cloves of the Lemaine, I think this is pronounced, and what I'll do, I'll just top and tail the cloves before I plant them out. You do have to be careful when you're planting these cloves. Make sure that you got the soil plate right at the bottom, because it's quite easy to put these upside down. And as you can see, I've spaced these a little bit bigger than I normally would, but that's what it says in the instructions, so we'll see what we get at the end of it. That's this bed planted and covered again. I got 8 rows, 5 in the row, so normally I get a lot more in, but we'll see how they go. I've still got a few more cloves left of that Lemaine, and I'm going to try and find a space somewhere out there to plant them. It's that time of the year where things are starting to shut down, and I'm just clearing the allotment greenhouse, and these are the last few pickings of the fruit, what's coming in there. Peppers have been along the border, but in the pots around the outsides has been mainly tomatoes, and they've done exceptionally well. On this side here we've got the AutoPots, and these have got the Aquaval 5 in. And what I've done, I've put an initial feed in the reservoir tank, but as that's emptied, as soon as the flowers have started forming on the tomatoes, I've actually used the liquid from my comfrey barrel. And it's just normal rainwater with leaves in, and I've just taken the water out, put it to a little, well, it's actually a bit of Enviromesh to get all the main bits out, put it in there, and that's been watering all the way through the season. I have done the top feeding probably about once a week with BioBiz, but apart from that I've been using the comfrey, and they seem to have done very well. Continuing on with the allotment tidy up, I've just attacked this the bean bed, and the canes them there, I'll probably get another year out of them, but to be fair, they've seen me good for me whole season on here. It's about 6 years old, most of them are now, so I'm going to be expecting to buy new canes for next year, but not to worry. But the surprising thing is, the soil level in here has dropped around about 25 centimetres, 10 inches, and so I'm going to have to top it up. I've got plenty of spent potato compost that I'll probably get it up to the right level anyway, then I'll cover it for the winter. But before I actually put the potato compost on, there's some little bonus nuggets that I want to add into there before we actually start topping it up with the soil. The little bonus thing that I was on about for the bean bed is this. This is my comfrey barrel. As you can see, a lot of the leaves and stalks have come to the top. I'm going to lift these off with the fork, put them in a bin, and just sprinkle them across the top of the surface of the bean bed, and then top dress that with the spent potato compost, and I'm sure this will do it a world of good. Lovely aroma off this. I'm just going to spread it out, and that'll go in nicely. I've still got some more comfrey leaves, believe it or not, to actually put into the barrel, and that's another reason why I wanted to empty these out. These are just starting to rot down nicely. Well, I was at the recent Malvern Autumn Show. I had the chance to catch up with a couple of the growers of the quality show veg. And one of the questions I mentioned was about the cost of heating and stuff like that, because I know they use bottom heat and also artificial lighting. And a couple of them actually mentioned that they would be sowing, especially the smaller onions, the 8-ounce onions, sowing directly now and using no heat at all, and just letting them tick over during the winter months. So I'm going to try it for myself. The variety that I'm growing is two of my favourites. There's a Tough Ball and there's a Vento as well. And I'll be doing them in these the plug plant trainers. There's 49 cells in here, 7 rows of 7. So I'll be doing 4 rows of the tough ball and 3 rows of the venter. The compost I'm using is my own worm compost. I've actually sieved it and added a bit of vermiculite and all, but I've put that in. I've dibbed the holes. I know you can use these lids here to put the depressions in, but for me they're not quite deep enough for sowing the onions. I like to go about 12 millimetres, half-inch deep. So I'm going to sow these, and what we'll do during the next videos we'll carry on. I'll keep you updated how they're performing over the winter. Say it's a trial more than anything, because more or less I'll probably be sowing again in January. So that's all sown. I've given it a light spray on the top. What I'll actually do is give it a soak from the bottom, just to make sure that the compost's thoroughly wet through. Put the lid on, and I'm going to leave it in here because we're still getting some decent temperatures during the day, and I'm sure that'll fire the germination up quick. Once it does start running cold though, I'll be taking them into the house, into the conservatory. So that's about it for this one. Many thanks for watching once again, and I hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye for now.